Hey, welcome to my review of the 2015 Giant Trance 27.5. I think it's the Trance 2, although it might not be. I've had this bike for about 3 or 4 weeks, so this is really just initial impressions of it. To give you an idea of the style of riding I do and the level I'm at, I'm just going to quickly run you through my whole bike, which I'm replacing. So for the last 12 months, my first bike has been a Specialized hard rock 29-inch. It's been a really great bike. I live in Nelson, New Zealand, and the tracks here tend to be quite rocky and rooty, fairly steep. I think a grade 3 intermediate here is probably a fair bit bumpier than in other places, or I've not ridden many places yet. But I mean, I've done a lot of Ks. I've probably done about 4,000 Ks on the tracks. Give you an idea of the style, I've had to upgrade the front disc. I've worn out the shocks. I've been through 2 sets of chain rings. I'm on my second bottom bracket, on my 3rd cassette. Yeah, the cones are worn and it needs a new head bearing. So I've been through 2 sets of grips actually. It's a 3rd set of grips on there now. So that's the sort of riding I've been doing. I'm not doing really crazy stuff. I'm not jumping. But I am riding down fairly bumpy, rocky tracks. Okay, so I decided it was time for an upgrade. I was actually going to buy a bike called the Giant Trance, which is a new bike they've launched for 2015. The Stance is a full suspension bike and it's in a really good price range, which is why I started thinking about a full suspension bike, because I could actually afford one. Now I had to wait 3 weeks for that bike to come in, and in that time I did a bit of reading up on the Stance and the Trance and the Maestro suspension, and I decided that if I bought the Stance after 6 months, one summer, I'd probably be really unhappy with it. Well, happy but ready for a better bike, and so I just bit the bullet and bought the better bike straight away. Now the reasons for that: most Giant bikes have this suspension called a Maestro here. It has a double pivot system, so basically the back wheel can go up and down. Rather than pivoting like this, it will actually just move up and down effectively. The Stance, the cheaper bike, just has a single pivot here, so the wheel would effectively do this. I think this would give you less control, but even I probably could live with that because I've never had a full suspension bike before. But the shock on the Stance, you couldn't lock, and I kind of like climbing roads, gravel roads, and the idea of bouncing up and down I think would have annoyed me. So I looked at bikes with lockable shocks, rear shocks. The Trance comes with this Fox shock. It's an air shock. I know nothing about them apart from I'm getting to love it. It has 3 settings. It has climb, which will fully lock it. Trail, I say fully lock it, it's still got a little bit of giving it if you hit a rock. Trail, which gives you I think 120 mil of travel. Don't really use that. And then we've got descend, which will give you a full 140 mil travel. Now the first initial thing you notice about having full suspension, your rear wheel just seems to be constantly in contact with the ground, which makes your braking more effective and you just feel more in control, and which encourages you to ride faster. And then all of a sudden you're going really fast and you're like, whoa, okay. So that's fun until we all get hurt. I'll take you through the front forks as well. Same thing, we've got Fox, climb, trail, descend. I really like that. I can lock them out on the roads, put them in trail when I'm just climbing up rooty tracks, and then for downhill we just go to the full 140 mil travel. Okay, so that's been great. Obviously full, I think the Shimano brakes, front and rear, modern brakes on bikes. You can't fault them. They're fine. They work great. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. Now the one big revelation about this bike that I've noticed more than anything is the drivetrain. I didn't think that a drivetrain would be so much better. Could be so much better on a bike, but this is just phenomenal compared to what I've been riding. This is silent, totally silent and smooth gear changes. The main reason for that is this little baby here. So this rear derailleur, it's a Shimano SLX. It's got whatever it's called, Dynamo stick or something, but basically it's got this lever. I didn't notice it at first. When it's off, that's the off position, this switch. The derailleur moves like on my old bike. When this is locked, this derailleur just, it's not holding the chain tight, it's just holding it at the perfect tension, which means everything's just beautiful. There's no slack in there, and the chainsaw was perfect. I guess this will change over time, we'll have to wait and see, but right now this means that gear shifts are super smooth, and the whole running of the chain is super silent. Downhill there's no chain slap, you don't even know the chain's there. It's great. It's also got this tension here, this dual tensioner. You can't maybe see, there's two sets of, you probably can't see, there's two sets of chain rings in there, which just, that helps keep the tension just nice on the chain. The only downside to this whole drivetrain is that these pedals seem to get a lot lower when they're down, when there's weight on, obviously. So I've had a lot of pedal strikes. It's had me off the bike a couple of times. Yeah, but that's not a, it's just going to have to improve my riding and get a little bit less lazy on the pedals. That's it really. Can't really say much more about it. It's been 3 weeks I've had this bike. It's been phenomenal. It's really been fun to ride. I had the straight choice between a Trance and an Anthem. The Anthem, in all honesty, is probably better suited. It was the same price, better suited to my style of riding. The reasons I chose the Trance over the Anthem were, I wanted the Fox shock that had the three settings. The Anthem only had 2. Yeah, on it had a rock shock. Same on the front. I actually preferred the style of the frame with the drop like this, the I don't know what they call it, free ride. And the Anthem is blue, and this is black. Yeah, so the final thing that swung it was, it looked nicer. Shirley, thanks for listening.